Good morning, my friends, and welcome to Fuel for Success. We've had a little issue with Freecast this morning, and Mike's behind the scenes working on it a little bit. He'll be with us in just a second. Spent the last 10 minutes trying to fix it, but hey, we're here. It's Friday, and it is our day to talk about family and relationships, one of our absolute favorite shows. And we're honored that everybody took time out of their schedule this morning that is watching live. And then those that are watching later on the archives, which is one of the values of Fuel for Success, is you can watch this anytime you want. It's yours. You can go to iTunes. You can go to YouTube, and then of course you can always go to fuelforsuccess.tv. Today we're going to be talking about family and relationships, and we're looking forward to having a good discussion. We got some really good questions that have come in. Got about 6 questions. We're hoping we're going to be able to get to all of them. Good morning, Mike. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning. I'm great, except that for some reason I have almost no bandwidth here, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my network. So um,
Well,
I don't
you
know if
had
it's
to have
sunspots or my provider or what.
I had to switch it because I'm used to
Matt
you
couldn't
getting
handle
right.
being on the wrong side.
It just messes with me. There's something about it. It's like it just doesn't feel right to me. So I just had to hurry up and switch you, my friend. Good morning. It's Friday, Mike. The week has gone by so fast. Can you believe that? And guess what today is, my friend? Guess. Just guess what today is.
Wow. Um, I can't tell if you're talking. I am literally. I'll have bursts of bandwidth and then it's gone. So I'm not sure what's going on. Can you hear me now? Okay. I apologize to all our
Yeah, we
viewers.
can
We're
hear you.
having some technical issues here.
That's okay. That's totally okay. Let's go ahead and work on that, and I'll go ahead because you texted them to me. I'll ask the first questions that came in while you're working on that. But I can hear you fine, so we'll just hope it just kind of works out. But today, my friends, is
Okay.
my son's uh, last day of 6th grade. My
Oh,
son is going to be a 7th grader. That puts me in tears, literally, like in tears. Like I'm starting to cry now. Like my little boy is growing up. It's just crazy. So I'm picking him up at noon today. I'm going to take him out to lunch, play a little baseball with him, do something a little special with him this afternoon, then get back in the office and work until his baseball game. He's got a game tonight at 5:45. Brutal time, but this is the semifinals in the city championship. So it's 2 undefeated teams squaring off. Caleb hit 8 home runs over the 210 field yesterday in DP, so he's definitely on fire, hitting the ball well. But Mike, it's good to see you, friend. Are you? We got some better bandwidth now, buddy. Can you hear me?
I it's choppy. I can hear you 60% of the time.
All right. Well, you want to ask the first question, and then we'll go from there. And then what little bit you can hear, we'll just kind of work it today. Thank all of you so
Sure.
much for being with us all week. We've had a great week of Fuel for Success. This is our 103rd episode. It's hard to believe they go by so fast. 103rd episode. So, Mike, what's the first question that's come in, my friend?
Well, the first question we have, and of course today's family and relationship. How can we get our families involved in what we do?
That's a very good question. I thought about this morning when it came in. I think that to get our families involved in what we do, I believe in this. The real secret to relationships is that if you want to have friends or deeper connections, you have to show interest in others. One of the mistakes that I see happen in parents and trying to get their kids involved in what we want them to be involved in, right? Whether it be, youth group or Bible quizzing or church or, maybe some kind of, group at school or just something to do with education, that a lot of parents, I really live by this philosophy that if we become interested in what our kids are interested in, then they will want to become interested in what we're interested in. I really believe in that. So I believe that in a family, there needs to be a celebration of celebrating everyone's interest. So we can't expect that, like my son, for case in point, I don't think he's passionate about everything that I'm passionate about. But because I connect with him and spend time with him, I'm easily able to persuade him to get involved in the things that I'm passionate about. So I think that's one step. Another step, you know what I don't believe we have enough of, Mike, is family meetings. You know, family
Mm.
talks in the living room, or take your family to Starbucks, order a whatever. Well, maybe not if you're trying to be debt free. So bad idea on the Starbucks. But anyways, have more family talks and say, listen, as a family, I want us to as a family, I want us to do, 4 Mission 25s a month. Let's each come up with an idea of what we can do. When I say Mission 25, I'm talking about our lifestyle of whether, we're going to go take balloons as a family, we're going to go take 10 balloons to a children's hospital, or let your kids see, let your kids and your spouses help you in the process, help you in the planning, help you in the, like if you're going to do a vacation or you're going to do a ministry trip or you're going to get involved in like, remodeling the house or painting the house. I just think, Mike, bring them in on the planning process of saying like, hey, you know what? I want us as a family to do this. I want us as a family to juice. Let's each come up with our own juicing recipe and even like make a big deal out of it. Put it on the refrigerator. Susie's juice, Mikey's juice. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that might help a little bit as far as I really think, Mike, when it comes to like getting our families involved, I see this in a lot of like ministers because that's what I've been around my whole life. A lot of them are negative. A lot of them are negative. They're like, well, this, bless God, this is how it's going to be in this house. Look, if you ever even have to say that, if you ever have to say to your family that, bless God, this is just how it's going to be, you're really not a leader. You're really not in control of your home. You're a dictator, and you haven't really led your family to a place to where they want. I just think communication is the secret. Mike, I hope you can hear me, man.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm doing a little bit better now.
Yeah, a lot better. Good.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, man. I know you. I know you. I know what's going through your brain right now. Like, but you're handling it well. You're so smooth, man. You're just like smooth cat, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, 20 some years as an IT professional will smooth out your rough edges a little bit when it comes to technology.
I
And yeah.
we were standing on the platform last week, about 5 minutes before I was about to speak. And I leaned over and I said, Mike, you're going to hate my guts, but I have an idea. I have an idea that's going to blow the world wide open. And like 2 minutes later, you paced back by me and said, hey, does your idea have anything to do with anything I've got to do before you preach? Like, like, do you need me to like rewire the sound system or something like that? I need to know. I just need to know.
Right.
It's funny, man. Somebody said I'm choppy.
I'm like,
Am I choppy?
actually, you're doing pretty good right now. You may off and on, and there's a lot of variables, and involved in a broadcast like this, just because Al, you could have some choppiness in your receiving end as well. So this is actually, and we take things for granted, I think, in today's technology world, but what we're doing right here is amazing. This literally would not have been possible 5 years ago,
No.
or it would have cost tens of thousands of dollars to pull this off every day.
Yeah,
So,
it really is amazing.
it's
So
pretty
if
incredible.
anybody on that works for Spreecast is watching this episode, major shout out to you and your team. You guys are doing a first class job. Thank you for this platform. I couldn't
Very
agree
cool.
with you more, Sharon. I actually thought of that. I thought, we need to actually start sharing some of Mike's technology wealth with the world out here, and maybe we'll integrate that in some of our business and entrepreneurship. Maybe we'll give like 5 to 10 minutes of uh, technology talk.
Mike Barrett said his dad had a CB tower. My son put a CB in his car. I'm like, how 1970s is that?
John did that. That's so John though. But I gotta be honest. I
Yeah.
love CBs because I love to mess with the truckers. I love to chat with the truckers. I love to hear them talk because they're just so like, hey, I'm gonna pull over and get me a Wendy's now. Just like accident up ahead. Just the real. Just I don't know. I can't explain it. You know what else I love? I love like police. What do they call those things?
Scanners.
Scanners. Yeah.
Scanners.
Yeah.
You can get them on your phone.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, don't tell me that because I'll be like sitting there working at night listening to like, oh, that's raw, man. So,
Christy wants to know what your CD handle was.
what's my handle? Yeah, that was way back. That was back in the good old days with my grandpa, growing up as a kid. We're all growing up, Mike. What can we say? That's just how life goes.
Had to happen. Hey, let me get to your next question here in our wonderful episode 103. Whippersnapper. Breaker, this here's a whippersnapper. Hey, how do you motivate a kid to do something that they don't want to do?
You don't. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
Other than unscrewing the CB antenna and whacking them with it.
other than like threatening, like, I would just say this about threats. I don't believe in threats. I see too many parents threat, and it's just not the way to motivate, and it's not the way to discipline. If you are going to threat, you better follow through 100% of the time with that threat. That's all I got to say about that. As far as motivating, look,
Mm,
man, the real secret to motivating kids is you have to accentuate the positive. You're not going to motivate kids through criticism. You're not going to motivate kids out of fear. You're not going to motivate kids out of threatening to take away their iPhone. It's just not going to work, man. You have got to learn how to motivate. And how you motivate is by accentuating the positive, meaning that all of your attention and energy is focusing on catching them and what they're doing right and verbally always expressing what they're doing right as far as motivating kids. Now, as far as motivating kids to do something they don't want to do, like go to church or maybe mow the grass, again, Mike, I'd like to hear your take on this as well. For me, I would say there's times that I like motivate Caleb to do something he don't want to do, and I'll just explain to him the benefit. Remember, everybody's got this like hidden like sign that says what's in it for me. It's just the nature of humanity. Like, what do I get out of this? What do I benefit from this? And you've got to somehow
right.
show your kids the value and the benefit. All of you need to learn how to sell, and because that's what you are as a parent. Listen, you don't think that you're a salesman as a parent, you better start studying sales because you're going to have to learn how to persuade your kids, learn how to influence them, how to motivate them, how to sell them, and of course, there I believe in discipline. I believe in consequences. I do. I don't want anyone to misunderstand that. But I don't believe in them as a way of motivation. I believe in the way of motivation is to talk about the benefits of why you need to do this. Because if a kid can understand why, you won't have to motivate.
I
And try
like
to
that.
believe
Hey, I like
more of their passion, more of what they love. Your take, Mike.
a couple of things. One is I like what Sherry said. It takes a lot of time and energy to be a good parent, and it's easy to be a bad one. That's actually a very key thing that people don't necessarily immediately understand. And when you talked about, don't motivate through fear, hey, I'm going to take away your iPhone if you don't do it, that sort of thing. The, what's dangerous about that is that that can work once or twice, right? And so if it works once or twice as a parent, you may, begin to feel like, hey, this is a good, long-term solution. But the reality is it's not a good long-term solution. Even if it works once or twice, that's sort of the easy thing to do. That's the easy out. Like, hey, do this or I'm going to, take away your stuff. That doesn't take any thought. It doesn't take any energy. It's a very simple solution. It may work once or twice. And so you get caught in the sort of idea that that's a good way to handle it. And that's a trap. It's not. Um,
You
so
know, Mike,
I also,
but
I was also going to mention what Pacey said there. So her daughter Gracie, Pacey says, "I know her love language, which helps a lot." And I had actually written down a note here that we need to find our kids' passions and know what it is that drives them, and that takes time. It's like I mean, kids, just because they're your kids doesn't mean they're wired exactly like you. Doesn't mean um, they're motivated by the same things as you. And so it takes time and energy effort to figure out what those things are, and once we understand those, then that can help us sort of come up with a strategy to motivate our kids.
absolutely. You know, like for example, this all goes back to proper training. Again, hate it if we all blew it in the early years. Hate it because it does become way more challenging. But this is why it's so important to do proper training when they're younger, because this does eliminate some of these things. For example, I hear parents say, uh, again, they use like parents use bribery, like, please eat, please be good, and mommy will buy you a sucker. No, your kids need to be trained to please be good, period. Sometimes I'll buy you a sucker, but I'm not always going to buy you a sucker. We use too much bribery, and that actually creates bad character in kids when you have to use bribery all the time to get them to behave. Believe it or not, you're doing an injustice to them. You need to train your children to behave for the principle of behaving, for doing what's right. That you're not always going to get a sucker. You're not always going to get a new toy. Oh, Johnny, if you'll please just sit down in the cart and not touch anything, then, I'll let you ride on the horsey at the end of our shopping. No, like that doesn't work. It works for the moment, but you're not thinking long term as a parent. So, again, we could go deep into this, and I know that there's probably a few people listening right now that have smaller kids. So, but I would love to share some of my views sometimes on a show on things that I believe parents should be doing even when kids are 2 and 3 and 4, when they're really small. But Al asked if we believed in spanking, Mike. So Al, I believe in it
Yeah.
100%. I believe in it and practice it. It's a biblical concept. It's a biblical principle. It works. It definitely works. Um,
Yeah.
Mike, I've just kind of been talking here. Is there anything else we want to cover on this subject here about how we can motivate our kids to get them to do what we want to do?
Um, I think that I just wanted to mention one thing because Sherry had said that her daughter is 23 now and she got one spanking growing up, and every kid is different. And some kids, I mean, there are kids that literally you can just say, hey, that disappoints me, and that would be worse for them than a spanking.
Yeah,
And there's other kids that you could say to them, hey, that disappoints me, and they don't even understand. They're just like, they'll go do whatever they were doing, right? So every child is different, every person is different, and so there's, don't fall into the trap that there's one solution for all kids. That just There's no such thing. And Pacey'd ask a question, kind of a follow up. How do you handle it when your kids get a bad attitude? Roll their eyes. That one, my wife hates that. Um,
that
that sort of
goes
thing.
mine too. Pat Eve when I get eyes rolled at me. A major pet peeve. It goes back to training. It goes back to sitting them down and saying, listen, in life, okay, in life, your response is going to determine your future. Whether it's me as a parent, whether it's you when you get in high school or you get on a sports team, your coach, like this is life. This is the reality of life. So, like my son has done it before, and I'll stop him in the moment and I'll say, Caleb, stop right now. We don't ever sigh. Like if dad asks you to go put your shoes up, don't sigh. You're affecting your energy and your body language, and you're allowing negative energy in your body. You don't sigh. We don't sigh. Like if your mom, even like, I think another thing that parents do when it comes to their kids in maybe rolling their eyes and getting a bad attitude, believe it or not, we cater to our kids too much. And our kids have learned that they can get away with it. I'm not saying your case, Perry, because I understand this is most teenagers. They sigh, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But you can't cater to that. I see a lot of parents trying to be their kids' best friends, and they don't want to hurt their kids' feelings, and they don't want to like really discipline. Listen, I don't want anyone to misunderstand. As positive as I may be and as like loving and affirming, I'm into discipline, and I believe in discipline. And I believe that we need to literally, our kids need to know this is not acceptable behavior. Like there will be consequences if this continues. Do you understand? Like there are times that you have to enforce consequences, not threat. Threats don't work, but action works. Like a real consequence followed up that you stick with. I see a lot of parents, they discipline their kids and then they let up on the discipline. Believe it or not, believe it or not, you're doing an injustice. Like when you lay down the discipline, you better stick with that discipline because your kids need to know that your word is concrete, solid. You follow through with what you say. This is what I told you. this is what I. Your wife just sent me a text, Mike. It's the funniest text I've ever seen in my 38 years of life. Like, Carol, should I? So that was definitely good parenting advice.
I don't even want to know.
The show.
Carol's trying to take over the show by proxy.
I cannot breathe. Okay, hold on. Focus. So, listen. Um, I'm sorry. Listen, this is why I'm a bad person. I don't have the ability to see something that's funny and not laugh. Like I don't have the ability. If something's funny, I'm going all in. You know.
Yeah, I know.
What was
Even if it's really socially inappropriate at the moment, Matt will go ahead and just gut laugh. And I'm like, dude, stop it.
It's totally socially inappropriate. This is like, yeah, it's okay. Like at least one thing about Mike and I is we believe in being real. And
Yeah.
anyway, I hope that helps, Pacey. If not, you're having lunch with Mike and I in Chicago, so we can definitely go deeper into this. But don't listen. Parents, do not allow your teenagers to do that. And I'll tell you another thing that needs to become very, very like sacred in the home. And you men, if you ever allow your kids to talk back to their mother, you're doing an injustice to them, and vice versa. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that parents that don't like are not in unity and don't support like the other parent, as hard as this is sometimes, that's why there needs to be just real clear communication. But I think it really is bad. It breeds rebellion in a kid if you um, as let's say the dad said, no, you're not allowed to take the car tonight, right? And then the like kid goes and asks the mom, dad's not letting me take the car. Okay, well you go ahead, I'll deal with your dad later. Friends, you are creating a criminal when you do that kind of stuff. You hear me? You are creating someone that most likely will do bad things in their life and not have good marriages and not be a good person. You're actually creating really bad character when you do that in a kid.
Right. don't undermine any authority in their life ever, because
That's good.
they have to understand authority. So don't undermine the authority of their youth leader, of the pastor, of their teachers, of the principal of their school, any of those things. I
And
just
it
had to put up what Britain said
goes for
because she's
divorced people. That even goes for divorced people. As hard as it is, you've got to
right.
teach your kid to honor the other parent because it's a biblical. That brings bless. It's I tell Caleb, you'll be blessed. Like if I ask you to do something, you don't like it, and you do it, God is gonna bless you for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, Speaking of laughter and the power of laughter, Britain says it's hard to discipline her daughter because she's a comedian. And when she starts to scold her, she starts cracking jokes, which is funny to me. But also, I'm thinking it would be really hard for me to discipline her daughter too because she's
Uh,
just so cute.
I couldn't
Be
do
like,
it, Brett.
listen, and she'd just be like, and I go, okay, you're good, go.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, God knows if I had a daughter, I just, you know what, God knows. You know what I'm saying? So, Britain, that's one of those things that maybe you're gonna have to just tell her like when you're not in the moment, when you guys are sitting down having tea, you might need to say, no, listen, I know it's funny and it's, but I need a favor out of you. When I'm disciplining you, you know, don't, because I'll be honest with you, there's times that went to go spank Caleb and his reaction made me gut laugh, like fall to my knees, crack up. And it was hard. It was so hard not to laugh when you're in the middle of discipline and your kids give certain reactions. Like I'd say out of like 10 spankings, I laughed like 6 of them. And I even tried not to because I was like really like frustrated. So I tried not to, but I still laughed. It's hard. So I don't know what to tell you,
It is
Brittany.
hard.
Yeah, she knows it. You
You
better
know,
believe people underestimate how smart kids are.
it's true. I had one time Danny was in big trouble, and I don't remember. She was probably 6, and I was going to talk to her because she needed a spanking, and I was sitting down and I talked to her because I don't like to do it out of anger. I want to explain the situation, say, look, you weren't supposed to do this, the consequences. And she's looking at me and she grabs my cheeks and she goes, "You have beautiful eyes, Daddy."
Oh my God.
I'm just like, what am I supposed to do, right?
What'd you,
It was tough.
what, did you still
I
spank?
wussed out. No,
You wussed out? Yeah, I would have lost it, dude.
I
That's
wussed out.
powerful. Yeah, that's Mike. I don't know how. I just don't know how guys ever spank their daughters. I mean, it's just to me,
It's tough.
I'll spank Caleb
You
all.
know,
I don't know if I can spank my daughter.
yeah, it's tough. So one of the things this is actually interesting because when the other thing that I thought of when I saw Britain's comment about her daughter is that I actually use, because of the nature of my kids and the personality of my kids, I will sometimes use humor to really make the point. Um, and just
What do you
to
do?
engage and interact
Joke?
rather than like a stern lecture. What's that?
You'll crack a joke, or you'll like come up with a skit. Like, what do you do?
Well, I'll just talk to them in a way that, and I'll bring a humorous angle to the situation so that they can begin to sort of understand my perspective. I mean, God gave us humor for a reason, and our sense of humor. And I firmly believe that God has a sense of humor, and I don't really want to go into that today, but I know that He does. And so I'll use humor to really sort of talk to my kids about an issue because it's a lot. Um, Less uncomfortable for them. And John and Danny are both teenagers now, and of course Taryn's already moved out, so that's a different story. But John and Danny living at home, being teenagers, one of the things that's hard to overcome is just there's an awkwardness because they're teenagers. So life is awkward when you're a teenager, and there's an uncomfortableness in even receiving. Especially for my son because he's a young man, it's hard for him to like receive instruction, and there's because we're two guys, you know what I'm saying? And so using humor can really sort of open a door that wouldn't otherwise be open.
Yeah. And remember what we talked about last week? Pacey brought it back up of asking the child what they think the consequence should be. If it comes to disciplining them, literally before you execute the discipline, ask them. So now you have to experience a consequence for this. But I want to know before I give you what I feel like your consequence should be. What do you feel like it should be? You know what? Most of the time, your kids will execute a tougher consequence than what you planned on, and you can follow through with that, or you can use yours, or you can kind of tweak them both. But I like that, Mike. I never thought of that, and I might try to use the humor. I'm going to give it a shot. Mike, let's just go like maybe 3 more minutes because we got started a little late today. Let's deal with one more question, and
Yeah.
then we'll let everybody enjoy their weekend.
Right on. And this actually kind of plays into what we just talked about. And I mentioned humor as one way to get your kids to open up. What are some other ways that you can get your child to open up?
Open up as far as I think that kids will open up when they feel safe. That's number one. That's number one. Like if your kid opens up to you, you've got to like. This is why like if your kid starts to talk to you, like give undivided attention, eye contact. Don't be checking your phone. Don't be watching the baseball game. Like that's number one. You've got to like make them. You've got to give them your undivided attention. You've got to have talking moments. You've got to have moments where you as a parent create moments where there can be heart to heart chats. I've learned that with me. If I want to have a heart to heart chat with Caleb, we'll either do it on a road trip, we'll go to the beach and walk. He opens up a lot when we walk because it's just he and I. And I think that you need to learn how to ask good questions. See, most parents don't even know how to ask good questions, and most parents aren't good
Yeah.
listeners. You've got to listen when they open up, and you've got to capture moments. And I'll tell you another thing. Most of the times that your kids open up are not going to be staged. Sometimes it might happen when, you know, um, might happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. They might come in your room and say, "Hey, Dad, I need to talk," or it might be, right as you're getting home and you plan on hurrying up and doing something, and then they just all of a sudden start opening. This happened to me Sunday night, getting home from a mission 25. I was just coming in, like immediately planning on unpacking and just getting everything done. And of course, Caleb was here and he just started opening up about something. And then all of a sudden, it like, thank God, and that's why you need to pray for the wisdom of God. It dawned on me, okay, capture this moment. Like, forget unpacking,
Yeah.
forget juicing, forget making my tea, right? So I just
Right.
stopped, sat down, got close to him, looked him in the eye, and listened. So you as a parent have got to learn how sometimes to slow down when those moments begin to happen. Because I'm gonna tell you about kids. It's kind of like you know how they treat opening up, kind of the same way we treat get before we dive into a pool. We kind of put our foot in it just to make sure it's not too cold. You know what I'm saying? We just kind of how we are before we eat something. Whether it's coffee, you just kind of get it kind of closed. Just you feel it out. Most kids put out feelers before they go all open. And I'll be honest with you, most of the time we miss their little feelers because we don't slow down to really hear them. That's my take. What about you, Mike?
You, that's I'd actually started taking notes to cover that exact thing as you were talking, because one of the things that like my daughter will do, for example, is she will her feelers. So you got to be like paying attention to what they're saying, because my daughter will start talking about like a hypothetical situation or something that's sort of tangent to what she actually wants to talk about. Or she'll say, can you believe my friend? And she'll say something, right? But what she's doing is she's literally testing the water and she's seeing if I'm paying attention. And then that opens up into a conversation about what she really wants to talk about. So you need to be paying attention to what they're saying and looking for those clues that your kid wants to begin to talk to you about something. Because they won't necessarily, I mean, they're not necessarily going to walk in your room and say, "Hey, I got something I need to talk to you about." They're going to go, "Hey, I was talking to my friend," or, you know, "I saw this happen today," or whatever. And they're sort of touching on the topic that they want to lead into.
Mike, I'm going to close it out with this. I cannot overemphasize the need for you to have the right people in your life as a parent because there are people that can help you with your kids. And, I am probably one of my deepest passions in life is to be good to the people that I'm close to their kids. I'm very like, if I ever found out that Mike and Carol's kids were hurting, I take that very serious. If they're in need, like literally, like John, Mike, when he broke down the other day, coming home from his girlfriend's, I called him. I said, "Listen, John, you do know that if you couldn't get a hold of your dad, you call me. Like that mattered to me, and you need people." I can't tell you, and I'm going to weep right now, but I cannot tell you how many people that I have in my inner circle right now that one of the reasons I have them is because I know they help my son, and I know that my son trusts them, and I know that that it takes, you're not going to be able to do it all. That's why it takes key people in your kids' lives, to help in um, their training. What did Hillary? I mean, the one good thing Hillary Clinton said, what it takes a village to raise a child, and it's so true. Like you got to have the right inner circle in your life because the right people will help you with your kids when you can't help. You know, they will help you, and that's I got all emotional because I'm even like Mike and Carol, the role that you guys have played in Caleb's life. He feels so ridiculously safe with you guys that like I'm grateful to know that there's that trust that if he ever needs, and I've told him that, Caleb, if you ever need anything, you ever just, and
Yeah.
sometimes it may never happen, who knows, but you never know. I said, you call Mike, you call Carol. These are people that answer their phone. These are people that dad trusts, and there's a few other people that I've done that with. I've had those talks with them, and you need that with your kids. You need that with your kids. You need people in their life that can impact them, encourage them, love them, kind of be there, whatever. It's just very important.
Couldn't agree more, my friend.
Well, what a week of Fuel for Success, guys. You got all weekend to catch up on the previous episodes. Go to fuelforsuccess.tv and do me a favor. Can everybody do me a favor? I don't ask for much. I really don't, but I'm asking for something today. I want all of you to text at least 10 to 15 of your friends the link to fuelforsuccess.tv, or at least text them, hey, guys, go to iTunes and type in this and download these podcasts. Listen, we do these for the people, to help people, to encourage people, to motivate people. And then put it on your Facebook as well, or your Twitter. Tell your friends, listen, you've got to go listen to Fuel for Success or watch these episodes. All right, Mike, great working with you this week. I'm going to miss you over. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. Pacey's asking, are we going to be here Monday? It's a holiday. We've never really had this problem before. Monday's a holiday, Memorial Day.
What would be
Are we doing
y'all's
the show on Monday?
What would be y'all's guess? If you could guess, would Mike and I be here on Monday? Someone said yes, 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 yes. Serge. Hey, Serge, you made a nice comment earlier, and I really appreciated that. That was very kind of you, man. Very kind of you. Mike and I haven't talked about Memorial Day, so right now I'm closing off saying it's a 50-50, but I'm pretty sure we'll probably be here. But if we're not, maybe we'll do a Memorial Day show. If we're going to do the show, then you better wear an American shirt. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we missed Victoria Day in Canada, so
We can't do that
we'll do
anymore, Mike.
Memorial Day here
No
in
more
the U.S.
Canadian days because we've got too many Canadian fans out there. Not fans, excuse me. Screw that word. Canadian friends. I love I love you, man. You're my boy. Carol, thanks for the text. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll let you know about Monday. We're most likely be in, but we may not. We may give you guys a break. Who knows? God bless. We love you.
Love you all. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, my friend.